Hi and welcome to this week's edition of Bitrix24 Live. My name is Andy and I am the support manager here at Bitrix24 Gold Partners Interface. So a little bit about us first. As I mentioned, we're a Bitrix24 Gold Partner. We have offices in the US, in the UK and in the UAE. And we offer a whole range of different services from pre-sale support. So if you've got any questions or queries with regards to Bitrix, we can help you out with an online demonstration to make sure that Bitrix is a perfect fit for your organization. We also offer licenses and we also offer implementation and installation services. So if you're looking for an installation of an on-premise, we can certainly help with that. We can configure your server, or if you want ourselves to host it, we can host an on-premise system for you as well. And we also offer implementation services. So if you're looking at onboarding your employees into Bitrix, then we can help with that, making sure that all the right modules are turned on, turned off. Everything that you need is there. And then finally, we offer premium levels of support. So we offer telephone and ticketing support. And that includes as well, we can do short screencasts live online to show you the answers to any queries that you may have. So please do get in touch with us if one of those services sounds of interest. We have these Bitrix24 live sessions every Thursday at 10 a.m. Eastern Time. They're generally just an hour of free support. So if you've got any questions on the cloud version of Bitrix, I can show you live on screen the answers to those questions. And also, if you have an on-premise, I also have an on-premise system set up and ready to show you the answers to any questions that you may have. So please do put your questions in the box provided on YouTube and I can answer them as we go along. If you do have any questions that come through to you during the week, please do send them to sales@interface.com. And what we tend to do is start each session off with those questions. Now this session will last as long as I have enough questions to carry on with. It will end a little bit shorter if I don't have any questions any longer coming through. As I mentioned, I've got a few that have already come through this week and that have answered some on some of our clients have had questions as well, which I do feel that they could be of help to you. So let's start off. One of the common questions that we actually get, and this came through last week with regards to email hosting. So Bitrix24 does provide email integration, but it doesn't provide email hosting. So you don't get an email from Bitrix. You would generally need to have your own email service. So whether you're using Gmail or Outlook or Office 365, then you can connect those emails up into Bitrix. Bitrix doesn't provide you with an email address, so you will already need to have an email address. And if we just click into this email here, then what we can do is click on new, and I can see in here these are the services that we have to offer: Gmail, Outlook, iCloud, Office 365, Yahoo, Exchange, AOL, and if none of those services, generally you can connect an IMAP service up as well. So hopefully that answers the question with regards to, does Bitrix provide email hosting? It doesn't provide you with an email address, but you can connect up any email service into Bitrix, pull in your emails, answer them, reply to them, forward them on to different employees. You can do that all from within Bitrix, which is a great tool to have because Bitrix is sort of acting as your central resource for all your communications. Had another question that's come through during the week. I want to use my own telephone number in Bitrix. Is there a service that you can recommend? So using your own number in Bitrix, generally there's two ways of going about it. You can no longer connect your own number directly into Bitrix. They did offer that service, but it has been disabled now due to some of the users using it for fraudulent activity. So that option is now disabled. If you now want to get your number into Bitrix, then you need to use a service, a cloud PBX or an on-premise PBX, and you can connect that directly up inside Bitrix. So if I click into the telephony here, and then you can see I'm now in the telephony section. If we go to Office PBX, then we can see in here that we can connect an Office PBX up. Simply click on Connect, enter in the server details, connections name, login and password, and then you'll be able to test your connections here. This one generally, you can see we have an Office PBX connected up with the following details in there. That will then allow you to have incoming and outgoing calls. You will need a SIP connector for those calls. It is $49 per month for a SIP connector. So if those are for you that have just joined, I'm just talking about connecting your own number into Bitrix. You can also have a cloud PBX to connect your own number. And you can also use one of the 72 available applications within the application store. So Bitrix have added a whole range of new services in here that Bitrix integrates with. Quite a few common ones in here. We have a few recommended. So we have Asterisk, which is a good one to use. 3CX is very popular. 8x8, again, that's another popular one there. Aircall, it's pretty cool. There are quite a lot, there's 72 in here, so if you are using a third-party service for your telephony, do take a look in here to see if the application to integrate it for free exists, and then the call charges will be related to whichever application that you're going to integrate with. So those are the options. If you're happy to start fresh with a new number, what I'd probably recommend, the quickest and easiest way to do so would be to rent a number. So in here we can rent a number from any geographical location. So we can say we're in the UK and we can have a local or a free or a mobile. We can specify the region and then we can rent that particular number. That will mean that any incoming call will be dialed to that number will come up inside Bitrix, and any outgoing call will come from that number too. You might want to just look at the call rates of what the different areas charge. You can do so quite easily if you click on the little down arrow next to here, click on prices, then Bitrix will provide you with all the different call rates and costs. Got a question. Hi Kenny. Can we rent two numbers for two different countries? Absolutely, you can. So you can rent multiple numbers, as many as you like, as long as you've got the balances higher than the value of renting the number. So in general, they're around about $6 to rent a month. You will need a balance in here of more than $6. But yeah, you can rent a number from the US, the UK, wherever you wish. There are some locations, just to pre-warn you, that you do need to prove that you're a resident of. So I do believe one of those is Germany. So if you're a resident in Germany, then you do have to upload your verification documents in here. So some regions do not allow you to rent a number from that location without providing verification to do so. So just be aware of that. But it will tell you if and when you come to renting that particular number. Got another question. This is quite a common one that we get inside Bitrix. Is how to make somebody an admin. It's a pretty simple question, but if you don't know, then you don't. Then obviously you don't know where to go. So all it is you just find the employees menu link in the left-hand menu. So you can see ours is all the way down here, employees. Then you can see our company structure is in here. But all we need to do is just go to the employees tab in the top menu item on here. And you can see here that we have offline administrator. I'm currently logged in as the user Max Smith. This is a cloud version of Bitrix, by the way, just to make you aware. But if I want to make somebody an administrator, I can click into view the profile of this particular user, click into actions, and then we click on assign admin permissions. So that is as simple as it is, really. Once you're an administrator, you do have a few privileges in terms of you have access to anything essentially in Bitrix, and you can configure different areas like the CRM or email marketing. You literally have access to everything, which is great. There is a cool tool though. If you are an admin, click into your profile up here, click into the administrator and go into admin mode. What that will allow you to do is it will allow you to go into areas that maybe you wouldn't have had access to generally. So in Workgroups, I might not be a member of a particular work group. So I might, for example, I'm not a member of this OYAC freelance work group. So now what I can do, click into it, but you can see that I now have access to everything inside it. And that's for the sole reason that I've switched to admin mode, and now I can access pretty much any area, even though I'm not a member of this particular work group. So if I clicked on exit administrator here, then you can see I no longer have permissions to view that particular work group. So it's a great way of accessing areas that you might not access even though you're an administrator. Switch to admin mode and you can have a look in anywhere of the system. Just make sure that you come out of it, otherwise you are going to see things that generally aren't going to be required. Just got another question. Looking at the company structure, what if we had two companies registered in two different countries? How do I create two different structures? Well, generally, you can't create two different structures, okay? So what we would necessarily recommend would be to create two different branches from the main system here. So we would create a department, well, let's just call it US Office. Make the parent department the cloud demonstration. And then what I can do is click on here and we will have US Office. So we've done this many times, because the good thing about doing this is that it lets you then set up your CRM permissions to sit under a particular branch. So you can see what I'm doing here. I'm just moving everything under the US Office to start off with. And then what we would do next, so we would have the US Office like this. And you still got a structure underneath, so you can see here, I can click on this and we still have HR under marketing. So you say that's what you did. Yeah, that's the way to do it, because there's no way to. And then what you would do is you would add UK Office. Oh, we don't want it under there, so we want it under there. So we would have two branches, and then you would set the company structure up in here. Now, if, for example, we've created something a little bit different if you go to the top level of Bitrix, you can have an enterprise edition. We have developed here at Interface some configurations to allow you to create multiple of these to set it up. But that is the Enterprise Edition. That's the top level of Bitrix that you can get. It is an on-premise product, but it allows you to create multiple divisions of Bitrix. So this would be one division. I could then have another division, and they're all managed by one central administration console. So the Enterprise is the other option. Your next question will go on the CRM permissions. Yeah, so if you've got any questions about the CRM permissions, I can certainly answer them because they are, all your CRM permissions are based on an individual user. I'll go to this in a moment, but they're also based in departments and the company structure too. So yeah, just with regards to permissions. So you just got another question here. User permission on how do we set each department, sub-department to view their own leads while everyone can see all contacts and companies of their sub-department? Yeah, absolutely. So you can certainly set this up quite easily as long as you know how to in the Bitrix24 CRM, and splitting it up by the leads is a very common occurrence. So let me just first of all point out how the permissions work. So in leads, you essentially have one person who is responsible for the lead, okay? And that's the same as contacts. You have a person who's responsible for a contact, you have a person who's responsible for a company and for a deal, okay? So you can see in this, we're in leads, we have the responsible person column, Max, Max, Jack, Max, Max. So Max is responsible for 4, Jack's responsible for 2. So if I just open up another tab here and just look into the CRM settings and then into permissions and then into the access permission structure on here. So what we can do first of all is create a role. Now you can see in here we have quite a number of different roles. I won't remove all of these, but first of all click on add a new role. Okay, so this gives you the ability to set permissions on the different areas of the CRM. So you mentioned about having each department or sub-department to view their own leads. So let's just say this is sales team. So give the role a name. And then we can look at leads here. So at the moment, we have the ability to read, so that's the ability to view a lead, to see it, to add a new lead, to update or edit a lead, delete a lead, export and import. And we also have access on if we can set automation. So if we go to lead here, what we could do is we can click on the lead. Instead of having access denied, so in this case you wouldn't be able to see it, we'll have a look at the first one. So personal is referring to if I set this role and assign this role to all employees, everybody would only be able to see their own leads that they are responsible for. So if I click back here, look at Max's, if I assigned Max this particular role, he would not be able to see this lead. Okay, so personal are all the leads that you're responsible for. Personal and department is all the leads that you are responsible for or somebody else in your department is. So that is where it comes into the company structure here. So if we just open up the company structure again and look at, let's have a look at this sales department here. You can see Katie is supervisor and you can see David Brown. So if I assign David Brown this particular role that we're creating here that's got personal and department, then they would be able to see only each other's leads. It's your department. And then finally you have personal department and sub-departments. And what that means is if we open up this particular one, then if I assign the role to Katie Harrison, then Katie Harrison would be able to see not only David Brown's leads, but they would be able to see, if I hover over this one, maybe he's not going to show, Jack Smiths, Jack and Corey, and Joe. So Katie would, if I assign that role to Katie, she would be able to see everything below her. So that's how it works, and it all stems from this person who is responsible for the lead. Okay, so if somebody else in your department is responsible, that's a perfect way of setting that particular role up. And in leads, it's most common because obviously you want to restrict your sales team from being able to see other sales agents' leads. They get to work on their own leads, or if we have... The good thing about department is what you mentioned earlier, having 2 different countries. Then you can have UK leads and have a UK department and sub-departments, like we set up that company structure. And you can have US leads. So if you put somebody else in those different levels, so if I put somebody in the UK column here, the US, they're separate. It's a great way of separating your CRM. Essentially, you can have, even though it's one CRM, you can split it up into 2 based on these permissions. So you mentioned about having the role set to personal and department to view them. And then what we can have is all open and all. So all is obviously every contact. So whether you're responsible from them, for them or not. With regards to all being open, I will need to double check the information on the all open. I did believe that if you set the permissions to all open on leads, then closed and won, closed and lost would not be then visible. So you can see in here, all open would therefore mean that any closed and won and closed and lost would not be seen. But in terms of what you mentioned about setting all contacts, so the ability to read, the ability to add, so that will allow you to add contacts for and make that contact responsible for anybody. You can set it so you can only add your own contacts and make you responsible. That's how you would do that. The ability to edit, so you can only edit your own, or you can edit them all. So you can tailor this. One of the good things though, if you make deal pipelines, you can restrict pipelines that the salespeople might not want to be a part of. So a lot of our clients have maybe financial pipelines, so they restrict access to that particular one, and you can do it on that. And then furthermore, if you did get down to a level of setting permissions on stages, it would therefore mean that if I allowed somebody to be able to see personal, and then access denied when it got to the invoice, they would no longer be able to see that deal when it hit a particular stage. So you can see how you can tailor this. So UK and US office, how do you make sure UK office can only see the UK and US can only see the US? So you've set that to personal and department, and then you can set managers to personal. I would set managers to personal, department and sub-departments. So as long as you've got this role set up to personal and department, you need to change everything to personal and department. I would always recommend denying on export, so then one of your sales guys can't run away with all your data out of your CRM by exporting it all to a CSV. But you would go through it all and add personal and department, and so on and so forth. And once you're happy with setting that, click on save. What you can then do is assign the role that you've just created. So I created the role sales team. Click on add permissions, and then you can do it on a whole company-wide level. So you could say all employees who access the CRM can be assigned the sales team role. Or you could say if we had specific users, so you can say like Damien Edwards, I'm going to assign him the sales team role. Or you could do this, so you could say all UK office and all department and sub-department employees assign the sales team role, And the other way around it is you would then say all department and sub-departments get the sales team role. Depending on how much you tweak each one, in all honesty. But then that's how you would assign it. Then anybody within one of those departments comes to the CRM, the permissions that you set within that role will take effect. Just to point out, if somebody is in two departments, so if they're in the UK and the US, then they will see everything because they get to see anything in this department and anything in this department. So hopefully that makes sense. Got another question. How could you explain the different use of work groups versus projects? They seem very similar, which makes it confusing. The end date. Yeah, it's very true. There are a couple of different. I mean, the end date and the start date and the end date is the main one. That's definitely. So if I go into work groups, let's just see what we're talking about here. So we click into work groups. Click on to create, and then we have work groups at the top and private and open projects. And could you show some examples on how to use which one? So I guess the main difference is you have a start and end date on a project. That fundamentally is the main difference. It just restricts you from adding tasks, deadlines and things outside of those project dates. The second difference is the terminology used within a project. So you have terminology such as project owner, you have project assistants instead of moderators, you have project members. So you have those kinds of terminologies different. And then a third is it's more focused towards tasks. So if we go into here and click on create, then instead of a work group that you would create, the home page would be the general tab. In projects, it puts tasks first, essentially, just by default. So that's really the main differences. There's not too many, I agree. There's not a lot of differences between there, but you can see project assistants, project owner. There will become more and more differences between the two. But with regards to examples on using one versus the other, people tend to use work groups for departmental communication. So things like marketing, the marketing team would be a work group, and they also use work groups for events. So we've seen clients create a work group for an up-and-coming conference. They put all their conference information in the calendar. They have assets that they want to store against that particular work group conference, and only invite the people into that work group who are involved in going to that conference. So events is a popular one to use for work groups. As I mentioned, departments are popular. And then projects. Projects is more, if somebody came to us and said, we want more information, we want to create a custom version of Bitrix, then that would be a project. So a project is essentially more task orientated, where you can put a Kanban in there. So if I went to the project ABC up here, then you can have your own Kanban. You can do in a work group, but projects, you can see they have the tasks as the start point. This is where the main focus is. Work groups tend to be more of a communication tool, collaborative, and storing of documents, events, and so on and so forth. But in general, there's not a great deal between the two. Could I just always use projects and then not put an end date? That'll be like a work group then. Yeah, you could do, absolutely. It's completely up to you. If you want the terminology of projects in there, that's absolutely fine. There's no restrictions on doing so. Since you're on Workgroups, is the Workgroup supposed to be towards external parties too? Yeah, absolutely. So that is one of the main benefits of using Workgroups, is that if you're on a commercial package, so if you're on a professional or a standard package of the cloud or any on-premise, what you can do is you can create an external workgroup or an external project. So you can see these two here. What that allows you to do is it allows you to invite external users who are not employees of your system. So you might want to invite contractors, you might want to invite clients into projects so they can see what's going on, they can communicate with you. And that's the main use of an external project. So if I clicked into external project here, you can see that we have, we'll just call it external project. We can upload icons, put dates in for the specific project itself. We can invite internal members, so if I want to invite Laura and Jack. But if you already have extranet users in your system, then you can find them here, Verity's one. But if you don't, you can just put their email address in here. So if I just put Andy at intraface.com, put a little bit of an invite message in here, and if I was to create that, what it will do is it will send an email to Andy at intraface.com, and with that introduction email in here, and it will have a link to the extranet. The user will get the email, click on the link, fill in a little bit of registration information like password, and then join. And all they will see when they go to the extranet, so if I just go to our extranet on here, I don't know if, oh, there we go. All they will see when they go to the extranet is a very slimmed down version of Bitrix. So you can see I'm logged in. If I logged in as an extranet user now, all I would have access to is the project that I've been invited into. The next question down here is you don't want freelancers to see all of your other projects. They wouldn't do. They would only see the projects that they've been invited to. So my external project I created, I invited Andy Naylor. When they log in, all that they would see is the title of their work group on the left-hand side underneath activity stream that said external project, because that's what I named it. You can see this user here has Buzzco, Amiga Corp, Zoom. These three work groups are three individual external groups that they've been invited to. If we might have 20 on our intranet, but they haven't been invited to 20, so they only see the three that they've been invited to. And that allows them then to not only see certain like tasks, communications, files and folders, but it allows them to communicate with members of the team as well. So if I was to click into Buzzco, I'm still logged in as Max Smith here, who's not an extranet user. But if I was to log into as an extranet user and go into the work group, I could have a video and voice chat with another member of the company. One thing to note is that an extranet user will never see anything else other than the items in their project. An extranet user couldn't see anything in your CRM. They literally don't have access to any other module. Extranet users are 100% free, so you can invite 1,000 extranet users in for no extra cost. So whether you're on the standard with 50 users, I believe that has, you can invite 1,000 extranet users in to a particular project. There's no limit of extranet users you can have. Does that mean that external parties need a Bitrix account too? Well, when you send that invite, they basically register. They have to register. They're not a licensed user, as I just mentioned. They would have to register and log into the system. Yeah, that's how you can then start communicating with one another. One thing to point out in here, I would just recommend to, when you create an external work group, so if I go back into Buzzco, that's an external work group, what I would recommend doing is you essentially have 3 levels of ownership within a project. You have the owner, you have assistants, and you have members. Owner, assistants and moderators, and members. I would recommend making sure that you're in an external group that you create, make your moderators your employees. So Andy and Laura would be our employees. And then only leave the extranet user in the members. What you can do then is allow you to just apply a few more permissions in the group. So if I clicked into actions at the top up here, then I can restrict access maybe to just group owner and moderators. Those are my employees. The members, when I select all group members, include your extranet users. So the permission to view all tasks, you might not want your extranet users to view all the tasks. You might want them only to see the tasks that they're involved in. Document drive, so if you come out of here and go into the document drive, then we can take a look at the permissions in here. So it might be that you don't give them permissions as such. So all group members, we have the ability to read. What we could do is specify on the costs folder that we don't want the members, so our external users, to actually have access to that costs folder, so we can remove them out of that. And that's why it's quite good to have 3 levels. Your owner is always going to be yourself or whoever's created it. Your moderators or project assistants are going to be all your employees. And then finally, your members are going to be your external users. So you can start adding permissions on based on that. So that's just a recommendation if you are creating external groups. Can anyone invite or only the Bitrix administrator can do it? So again, that's a permission thing. And that's just what I've just spoke about there, having the owner and the moderators to be able to do it. But if you click on it, access permissions again, you have this. Users allowed to invite to project. Project owner only. Project owner and moderators. So that's going to be all your employees or all project participants. So that's why it's quite useful just to have your external users as members. Is there an app where it takes a screenshot every 10 or 15 minutes randomly, automatically to check where people are working on your projects, if they work on a fee per hour? I'm not familiar with one, unfortunately. I know some of the freelancer tools use it, don't they? Like Upwork. I know when you're working on it, it takes a screenshot of your screen. There might be in the application marketplace. You might want to have a check. It's not something that I've come across before in the applications here. They do have a whole range of different tools. One of the most common ones that I've seen when working with clients in projects is the mind map tool. That's quite popular. So project management, click into here. You can see that I've seen this quite a lot in here. I've also seen billable hours for tasks as well, quite a lot. So it might be worth you just checking some of these for that screenshot tool that you've used. So just put our contact details up. Like I say, we are Interface. We're gold partners of Bitrix. We do this on the Bitrix24 YouTube channel every Thursday at 10 a.m. Eastern Time. It's just generally an hour free support. I can answer any questions that you've got on any area of Bitrix. We also do, for the next 3 weeks, I believe, a session on Tuesday at 10 a.m. Eastern, and that's focusing on specific modules for remote working. During these times, remote working has become a lot more popular, so we focus Tuesday sessions on different areas of Bitrix. So this week on Tuesday, we focused on the document management aspect of Bitrix. And we've also had a look at projects and tasks. We've had a look at workgroup collaboration and also communication tools. So if you're interested in any of those, please do check them out. What we also have, and it would be worth checking out, I think it's with regards to our remote working series. So if we just show you this one on here, I would recommend, if you are starting out in Bitrix, to just take a look at this page on here. So we created this page just while the coronavirus was started off, essentially, because we found that more and more people are having to work remotely. And this page of them, Bitrix, within our interface website, is focusing on all of the different modules, and it does focus on them in quite considerable detail. So we have things like the communication, and this is what our series of Tuesday sessions focuses on: communication, collaboration in work groups, tasks and projects, document management, the CRM, telephony, and working on the mobile application and tablets. So do check that page out. It is pretty useful. They're not long videos. Some of the CRM one is an hour long, but the others are around about 15 to 25 minutes long. So they are really handy tools if you are starting out using Bitrix. Did I check the thing on it? I didn't. Sorry, Kenny. I will check it out. Maybe just drop me an email. We are quite busy just during the periods between that. But yeah, do drop me an email. It's Andy, A-N-D-Y, at intraface.com. And I can get back to you out of one of these sessions. That's fine. Is adding external emails on your CRM possible? Emailing. Yeah, so we covered that right in the initial first few minutes of this session. Some of you may have missed it. So if we go into our webmail here, and if I just click on here and just edit this mailbox, and let me just disable it. So you will start off like this. So when you click on webmail in the left-hand menu, these are the applications that it connects to. So Gmail, Outlook, Office 365, and so on and so forth. And then, yep, you can just connect them up. So if I was to click on Gmail, you would authenticate here. So I think if we sign into a particular account, I think we have a interface demo2 at gmail.com. Click on next. And then if I log in here, that's how easy it is to connect. Oh, hold on. I'm not sure, I might know the password to this now. There we go. So that's how easy it is to connect. It will ask you what it wants to access. So obviously it needs to access your emails. You can also sync calendars up to Bitrix. And you can also use cloud document editing services like Google Docs. I covered that on Tuesday's session. So if you click on allow, that will then add your email onto here. Then you can decide how many emails you want to bring in to Bitrix. So if I said a week, I would recommend using the external SMTP. So that will use Gmail's SMTP. This will allow you to send emails out of the CRM then using your own email. And then finally, whether you want to hook up the integration to the CRM. So you can do, so basically the CRM integration, Bitrix will check to see any incoming emails, who they're from. If they exist in your CRM, then we will take a copy of that email and put it against that particular contact's activity stream. It will then check any outgoing emails, who you're emailing. If they exist in the CRM, it will take a copy of that email and put it into that contact in the CRM. So that's why you would link to the CRM. It's a fantastic tool. It captures all your emails, and then you can you can see the history of all communications. Generally, if you're connecting your own personal email, probably wouldn't recommend creating new leads for all incoming messages that from new email addresses that don't exist in the CRM already, because it will fill up your leads quite quickly. Creating contacts for outgoing, again, I probably wouldn't recommend doing that on your own personal, just because you don't have full control over the data in your CRM then. If you have that deselected, you know who's adding contacts into the CRM. Click on connect, and maybe I've not got it. Maybe I've not got it connected up here, but I think we might have two-factor authentication set up. But once you click on connect, it will. Let me just see if I can deselect this one and click connect. Yeah, there we go. We don't. So it'll bring your email inbox, so you can see in here. Pretty straightforward. This is what it looks like. And yeah, so this is your email box inside Bitrix. It has some great integrated tools as well, so you can create tasks from emails. So if I wanted to create a task, a lot of people have seen create support mailboxes inside here. So you can create a support mail, and then you can create a task, assign it to one of the work groups. So another use of the work group could be a support work group. Or we can have onboarding employees. Then we can click on add task, and then that will add the task to that particular work group space. So it is a very good tool to have. Once you've integrated it though, you don't need to use this if you prefer to use Gmail or you prefer to use Outlook. What it will do is it will just sit in the background there, and every email that you receive in Gmail or Outlook or whichever email client that you use, it will just take a copy, check it, and put it against the CRM. So that's what I'd probably recommend doing if you just want a history of communications in your contacts and companies. It's a great tool to do. So hopefully that answered your question with regards to adding external emails on the CRM. Gmail has a very advanced filter to junk emails promotion. Is there such a filter in Bitrix24? Otherwise, email box gets full very quickly. It doesn't as such have a filter as such as the powerful one that Gmail has. We use the G Suite here at Interface. Our emails are through the G Suite, and although we integrate our email through the webmail client, we actually use the Gmail client itself, because, like you say, that's what it's built for essentially. This just allows you to bring in the emails into the CRM to see who's communicated with what particular contact and client. So you can still continue to use Gmail and let the CRM integration just take its course inside Bitrix. It won't create any spam emails inside your CRM because they don't exist as contacts or companies or leads. So that's probably why. Okay, so I don't think I have too many more questions. Within the CRM, the product page, is every user allowed to add a product, or only the administrator can do it? It's a good question, because you don't have permissions on products. So yeah, I'm not 100% sure, in all honesty. Let's have a look. If I log out of here, change my user. Ooh. Let me try and log in as a non-administrator. If I know the and I don't know. I'm not sure if I know the password. I'm sorry. I'll give it one more try to see if I can. Okay, so if I go into the CRM, in fact I don't even know if this user has access to the CRM. So they don't have access to the CRM in this case. So the permissions are set, so this particular user. So I'm guessing they wouldn't have the ability to add products based on, if you're not an administrator. The administrator wouldn't, if you're not an administrator, you wouldn't be able to see, for example, the CRM settings. So for them to be able to see the product catalog and add products, they wouldn't be able to add products. So yeah, so you would need to grant permissions on that. Okay, so I think that's it for now. If I just put our contact details up on the screen, as I mentioned a couple of times, we're interfaced with gold partners of Bitrix24. We have an office in the UK, the US and the UAE. And please do get in touch with us if you've got any pre-sale support questions. My email is andy@intraface.com as well, if you prefer to just drop me an email about any questions. We always start each session off with the questions that we receive during the week. And then, yeah, we go on to the questions that get asked during the session itself. So hopefully that's been of use to you. Like I say, we're here every Thursday at 10 a.m. Eastern Time. We've got the next remote working session live on YouTube on Tuesday at 10 a.m. Eastern Time as well. Kenny, you said you dropped me an email. I've not received it. Just make sure it's Intraface, like intrefac.com, just like it's spelled with the logo. Sometimes people spell it wrong with just interface.com. Maybe that's what it was. Okay, well, thank you very much, and I'll see you on Tuesday, hopefully. Bye for now.